Those two that was pretty here.
Oh, were they the same year? Yeah. Oh, you did too. Yeah. Then I must have seen him. This one. Like you don't want to collect audio.
Right, I'll,
Just click that.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. I can hear you too.
okay, so I'm like I said, I'm navigating two audiences.
Yes. Yep. So hello, everybody in our Zoom meeting here. I was just saying to our in-person audience that we have kind of two groups happening at one time. So please bear with us. And if I could just get some confirmation that you can hear me with your audio. So maybe some yeses in the chat. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, thanks, Jesse. Wonderful. Delightful. Excellent. And just for your reference as well, we are recording this meeting to hopefully be able to share it afterwards for anyone who wasn't unable to attend. And we do actually have a good audience. If you can see in Peg's video stream that's happening, we do have a good number of people here. So we'll get started. I feel like we'll have a few more people trickling in here. So we'll start at 7:10 if that works for everybody. And in the meantime, if you want to bring up other information on your computer, you can always visit lumafestival.com. Under the About tab, you'll see all the information written up about mural mapping. Oops. We'll get started here. Hello, everybody. Okay, we're going to get started. So I just wanted to kind of break things down for you a little bit with respect to LUMA overall. So this year's dates for the festival, if you haven't marked your calendars yet, is September 9th and 10th. That's the weekend after Labor Day. So once you're back from all your vacations, we'll see you there. I'm going to click to proceed. So LUMA began as an overall festival in 2015, where a lot of local creatives and technical individuals were coming together trying to figure out what exactly projection mapping was. It was very hodgepodge, very grassroots, and involved projectors on kitchen cabinets and wedged in windows. I have some technical members of my team that really do like to share that story, but it is an amazing one, especially when you see how far we've come. So for instance, how far we have come, last year, we were back in our street festival format and we had probably about 40K RSVPs, advanced registrations for attendees. So to go from 2015, when we were kind of expecting crowds of maybe 10K to where we are now, that's quite a big jump. And yeah, so what mural mapping does, what mural mapping does is it kind of allows our local artists an entry point into this sort of world stage of projection mapping and art at this scale. There's a possibility with this as an art form for you to be able to show your work to an audience of that number of 50K, of 40K, which is really remarkable. So highlights from last year, we were so fortunate to have CBS Sunday morning join us throughout actually production week. If you haven't seen it yet, there's a highlight that covers LUMA Festival on CBS Sunday morning. It features prominently Binghamton, as well as one of our art pieces and one of our artworks that was made specifically for downtown. We're not actually gonna.
It's one part sign.
We're not actually gonna
two
watch
parts.
the video. Oh dear. Okay, so mural mapping began actually in 2018 as a project where, again, we wanted to kind of bring in the local community and give this sense of what is mural mapping, or what is projection mapping, excuse me, and how can I get involved? It grew, it started in 2018 and grew in 2019, and we're excited to bring it back this year. So what is projection mapping? Projection mapping is what you would see typically at a LUMA site. It's 3D animations that incorporate the building architecture into this sort of storytelling narrative. It typically takes a lot of animation skill and talent. And to get to that point, there's probably intermediary steps. But so what we do with mural mapping is we break down video and 3D animation into a still frame. And we ask that you kind of consider, what does it mean to fill a still frame with light-based art? And we approach it from that perspective. And with that, Judy Salton here at the gallery is going to give us a breakdown of what does and does not work in projection mapping.
You need to appear to the volume.
You might, yeah.
No, I think she has the slides.
I have slides, but you can, in the audience that are in person, can match up to what.
And you can see from there what slide it is. I chose a few that work beautifully as, you know, when you did it, but didn't work when they were projected up. And that was our first year, and the projectors were a little out of focus too. So anyway, the first one, as you can see, it's beautifully done. There's trees, there's all sorts of faces. But remember one thing, and that is, this is up for 30 seconds. The more detail you put in, the less it's going to be seen. You need to hit them with something that's really exciting or has an idea to begin with, and then go from there. Don't put too much detail in. And you can see how it showed when it was projected. We lost all the detail, and there were too many things going on. So this one here is
The template,
how it worked on the template, and the next one is
how it projects.
how it was projected up. Okay, this one here, also, this is how it was on the template. And you can see all the artwork above it. The artwork above it will not show. You have to stay within the lines of the template. So make sure you don't do anything below or above, because as you can see, it was all gone. So we had a number of them. This again was the first year, so
Learning.
you know, we were learning.
So when you get your template, it is important to
Stay within the
stay.
lines and make sure that all the registration marks are not covered in any way, because that's how they get it perfectly on the building. And the third one, look at the beautiful tree that was drawn. And yet when it was projected up, we lost everything. So keep in mind color, make sure that they're pretty bold. These are ones that I did on the first year. They came out pretty well.
This is an example of good translation between
This is
the,
one using a lot of black outfit. And yet this one, I wanted the building itself to show. So whatever you leave white will be the building.
sorry, I have these
It may
mixed
come
up.
out lighter.
Again.
And then, you know, ones that are designed, they work. They work because there's no specific, you know, it's a design for the whole thing. This is when I did in 2000. How it turned out here. This is what I did in 2019. And I cut it down to use for kids. But anyway, they work if you black out the back or if you leave it blank. So think about how you want to use it. My suggestion would be that you go down and take a good look at the building and see what colors there might be in that or how you can use it best, how to make it more three-dimensional.
Yeah, perfect. Great segue.
Okay, there you go.
Right. So thank you so much for showing us kind of the highlights of what works in the translation and then what kind of doesn't. So I think my takeaway from that is big blocks of color and the strategic choice to leave out color. So yeah, an acknowledgement of the architecture. So this, every year so far, we have shifted the building location of mural mapping. So in 2018, we used the Atomic Toms building, which is what we've looked at here so far, the details from that. In 2019, we used the space on Court Street above CVS. This is an example of what that template looks like. And when Judy was mentioning the registration marks, that's what these are here. Can you see my cursor on that? Oh, delightful. How wonderful. Yeah, so these are the registration marks. Our team, once we get these artworks back, what our team does is we take high resolution images of your physical templates and we color grade them so that they're like the appropriate color that you had intended them to be. And we align them on top of each other so that we know that when they hit the building facade, they're perfectly aligned, because that's the main kind of focus of projection mapping, is that it hits the exact spots in the architecture in a way that complements it and highlights it. So this is an example of a template from 2019 and this is a digital submission from that year. This was a marker submission from that year that worked really well. And this was like sort of marker with some detail in it as well. But I think the use of the colors in this came out really excellently. These are template. This is an example of template, but these are examples of what the pieces look like when they were fully projected. So again, I think bright colors or strategic use of color is really what happens to pop in these, and the acknowledgement of architecture. I think in this instance, the ignoring of architecture works because we still acknowledge it in other spaces. Okay, so with that, what's new this year? So we've kind of refined our practices over the year. We've figured out how to accept entries. We figured out how to accept digital entries. And what we're gonna add in this year is the new Kids Edition. And so we're really excited to partner with the Discovery Center of the Southern Tier. They're going to be facilitating a number of workshops. Some are going to be incorporated into their summer camp program. And then one other will be open to the public for free during their Tremendous Thursday event on August 4th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. No registration is necessary. We're handing over a bunch of canvases and the kids are going to have a great time. From this, what that means though, is that we are ultimately going to be selecting from all submissions just 15 from the youth and just 15 from the adult category to project onto the buildings. So that means we want to see your best work. The competition should be fierce. For instance, the youth, we've given over 200 templates for them to work with. So and one thing to note, the main distinction between the adult category and the youth category is the age limit. 13 and up qualify for the adult category and 12 and under for the youth category. But for more information about how to work with the Discovery Center and the new Kids Edition, you can visit their website, discoverycenter.com, I believe. Oops. Okay, and then mural mapping for the adult category. There's a number of ways to engage with this one. Again, it's open to ages 13 plus. Templates are available for pickup. If you're here tonight, you guys can grab them. Just make sure you leave your email address with us so we can follow up with reminders on deadlines for when to bring them back. You can also pick them up during Cooperative Gallery's open hours on on Fridays and Saturdays, as well as alternatively through the Youth Identity Center, which is right across the street, but they have different hours. They're open, I believe, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 3 to 6. And again, in each case, you're going to want to leave contact information so that we can remind you of the deadline. Without further ado, because I haven't said it yet, all submissions should be brought back by August 8th. You can bring them back before. In fact, I highly encourage it in case you forget. August 8th is not a regular business operating day, but that's the day before we're going to be reviewing all of the submissions. That's the same deadline for digital submissions, August 8th, 4:30 p.m. And if you are doing a digital submission, I'll go over that in a little more detail on the next slide. How to create your template or to fill out your template, you can use any medium that makes sense to you. If you're a collage artist, go ahead and use collage. If you're a painter, go ahead and paint. I would just suggest really finding bulky sections of color in these. I think that tends to be what pops the vibrancy. As was suggested earlier, reviewing the building is going to be helpful. This building and the template that we're using this year is for 84 Court Street. I think that's correct. 84 Court Street. So it's worth a walk downtown, little Easter egg hunt. And we're only using the bottom portion. Oh, and sorry, I forgot to mention the physical artworks for the adult category are going to be displayed. The 15 selected pieces will be displayed here at Cooperative Gallery throughout the month of September. Yeah, okay, lovely, which we're very excited about because it's always cool to kind of see the comparison. So you can go first Friday before and then see it at LUMA. Woo. Yeah.
Now, things get returned to where you pick them up.
It can go to either, just as long as we keep track of the names.
Okay.
So we can, yeah.
I'll go through it again to make sure that.
He's been corresponding. He's had a few people ask about digital. Yeah. So for digital submissions, we're going to limit this category to 13 plus to the adult category as well, just for ease of where things are being lumped. You can download templates off of our website. We have PNG files, JPEG files, PDF files, the Photoshop document, whatever works for you. Where possible, if you can submit those back as PNGs, that's highly appreciated. Saves us a little bit of work on the tail end. The digital submissions are due back August 8th by 4:30 p.m. to lumamapping@gmail.com, and please include your name with the submission. Again, because how we operate with these templates, these should be returned as high resolution files, so 300 DPI, trying to stay close to the file size that you downloaded from the website is ideal. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out about that. So this is the new building, 84 Court Street. This is actually what we use to create the template. It's the perspective that we anticipate the projectors hitting the building from. And that's how even our 3D mapping artists, that's how we create our templates. So this is the translation and what you're able to pick up or download from any of our locations. And again, these are the registration marks to avoid, and this is your canvas. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions. I want to take a moment to thank our partners in this, Cooperative Gallery, who has been involved since the get-go. New to us, obviously, the Discovery Center, WSKG for helping to promote the project, and then the Community Foundation for their support. And then any questions in the room, I am open. And if the comments blow up, I'm kind of ready. Yeah.
So I'm doing a digital one for the very first time, and do I have to cover up the black lines, or can I just fill within the black?
You can cover the black lines. I actually would probably encourage that, because how you return the template to us, like if we can see the black lines, that's what's going to translate onto the building as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you are covering some of the windows, so.
Oh, yeah.
The template is a little bit different than the actual building. And
Yeah.
your artwork will show up a lot better using that and not, but look at the building, see what color it is, see where you can put things out, put things in.
Yeah, so what we end up doing as Team LUMA for production week is we go through, and every building that we project on, including this one, we cover the windows with like construction paper, basically. It's called Tyvek, it's white. And so that's how the entire building becomes your canvas. Like we'll cover the doors, we'll cover anything that's like a reflective surface. Yeah.
Could you, I know I'll go down and look at the building, but could you send that picture also?
I can send it to you. Yep.
Or send it, put it out on your newsletter or something.
Okay, sure. Everybody would like, I don't know if you can hear me, but everyone would like this as a visual, not a problem. Other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, they're late to the other, but can you submit painted by other artists?
Oh, that's an
And
interesting question.
what if they're under glass?
What if they're what?
Under glass, to mount it under glass.
So you have to submit using one of our templates, which you can grab in the back. They look like this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it has to be on here, because what's important is that you have to be acknowledging the registration marks and the building itself for us to line it up. So the question was, can another artist's artwork under glass be submitted? But to clarify, we only accept the templates back. Are there opportunities to get involved with or learn from the production team as well? Yes, Sean, I will drop my LUMA email in the comments, and you can send me an email and I can get you connected to the right people. Or Jesse, can you submit my LUMA email in the comments, please? Thank you. We are always looking for volunteers and anyone who's interested in getting involved. So that was a Zoom question. We are always open to that, and we're actually still searching and trying to fill the role of our volunteers coordinator. So at this point, I'm just kind of collecting names to see what level of involvement people are interested in.
And what about fundraising? I'm assuming you're doing something.
Yep. So.
Do you do anything at the event?
Yep, so the best way to support us at the event, aside from just writing us a check, would be visiting our merch tent. I happen to be wearing, which our Zoom friends can't see, our LUMA merch shirt for the year. It's our new logo. Every year we do a new shirt. So if you've collected them, this is like Pokemon. This is the new version. Got to collect them all. They're still soft. We get that question. It's the same soft t-shirts that we've been using. So that's the best way to support at the event. And then coming up, not probably this week, but next, we'll be launching our Kickstarter. Our Kickstarter, the same sort of thing that happens with that. You know, you donate at a certain level, and you would get a t-shirt or the various levels of merchandise up to something that I believe includes VIP tickets to a special event within the festival.
Are you doing tickets?
That's a great question. So this year, to kind of mitigate some of the confusion that's probably happening is, oh, Jesse, my personal, my LUMA, my LUMA email. Okay. That's fine. There's not that many people here. No, we are not ticketing to get into the festival. Last year we did time reservations. It was for us to kind of maintain a sort of sense of how many people were planning to come at a given time to be compliant with capacity restrictions and the health climate at that point. That is no longer a requirement. So we're going to go back to the free-flowing format. You can just walk in, just mark your calendars. There will be one ticketed event that it's ticketed because it's indoors. And we have to be able to monitor capacity with that as well. But nope, this year we are back to the free walk around. Don't worry about your wristbands. That was still free, but it was just a little bit of a hassle format. Yeah.
Who selects the finalists?
So we are going to be working between Cooperative Gallery and LUMA representatives to look at, you know, the overall artworks in general and what they have to offer, and then what's going to work best based on what we know from the past for projection purposes. And the same with the Discovery Center, LUMA representatives along with their teammates will look at what's going to work best for projection purposes.
Feedback for those that don't make it for the next year.
We can do that to an extent, depending on how many I get, but yeah. So the question was, will there be feedback for artists that maybe don't make it for the next year? And depending on the influx or the number of artworks that are submitted, I'm happy to do that. We have a question online. Rob asks, are multiple submissions allowed by one artist? I'm going to say no, one submission per artist should be plenty to give everyone kind of an even playing field. But good question, thank you for clarifying. Yep.
Do you have any community guidelines for submissions?
Community guidelines. So we're looking for area artists. I think we tend to get questions of, I live here, can I submit? And usually there's a backstory there. So if you still feel that you are a member of this community, I would honor and respect that. But if you are submitting and you live and have never been to Binghamton and you live like maybe on the West Coast, I might not. But I'm not too worried. It tends to be a community, yeah.
The building your templates have two vertical flat areas. Can two different pieces of art be shown on each side of it?
Yeah, so these were some of the examples of what did work actually really well from past templates. We can go through these a little bit too. And yeah, you can see detail filling panels in this in different ways. So yeah, I'd say that would be a yes.
Oh, then there'd be two submissions.
Well, this is one template and it's filled with various patterns.
I mean, works of art.
You can't take any work of art and put it in, you have to take that template and decorate that template.
Right.
Okay, so if you wanted to make the two sides different, but you have to stay within that one.
I see.
Yeah, so it's whatever you want to do within this template itself.
I can see how that might break down. It's three different things.
Right, but this physical paper is what you're giving back to me. So you could do a triptych, you could look at it this way and have like 3 different things happening in
Yeah,
this.
it means three different pieces of art.
To me, your artwork is this one paper. So whatever you do within this paper, delightful, hopefully, I think. I have a question on Zoom. Before the event, do they pressure wash or clean the face of the building, or the historical context that prevents, or is there a historical context that prevents that? Okay. We do not pressure wash the building. We Tyvek the windows. So what that means is we cover these sections with basically a white construction material so that your canvas is as neutral as possible. I don't think I have any examples of that in my visuals right now, but I could certainly post a few to give you a sense of that. But actually the light itself, it really fills in the building. So because we're also working on a facade that is like just sort of off-white, it's really going to cover it pretty well. In years past, we've learned that having like brick colored facades or painted details in facades, that kind of interrupts the artwork, but the method that we've used to cover the windows on facades like this will just make this sort of a neutral canvas. Other questions?
We haven't talked about it, but I will try to get, I'll probably end up ending the thing. I'll try to get as many as I can up, or maybe we have another way of displaying those that don't make it.
Okay.
Either flip saying when we did flip through and people can see what else was.
What else was submitted? Oh, wonderful.
Because I think a lot of them probably
Will be definitely worthy of hanging up. That's great. So Judy just said that Cooperative Gallery is going to hopefully make space to showcase all of the physical templates that are submitted, even those that don't end up on the building itself during LUMA Festival. So that's very kind. Thank you.
How many seconds, I know it's in rotation, but how many seconds is each of you?
So we're still working that out. So what's going to happen after we get submissions back? The question was, how many seconds will each piece be in view? So once we get them back, we do our high resolution imaging of them. That has like a few weeks to turn around. We're currently talking about what we want the audio to be, whether it's a set segment of audio or if it's something that's changing. And if it's set audio, that'll dictate the length of the pieces, because we'd want them to be even within that duration of time. So choosing 15 youth and 15 adults, we're thinking, I don't know, probably maybe 30 seconds, 20 seconds was what we did in 2019, somewhere around that range.
Are the digital images also considered in that 15?
Yes. Yes, digital submissions are included in the adult category for us to consider.
We'll have to find a way of showing them as well. We can.
Yeah, we'll look at them on our video. Question online on the template, is the grid on the door going to be covered or visible? You should still be able to see the grid. So the template that includes this sort of square patchwork in the middle here, you should still be able to see that. I think, yes. My answer is yes, visible.
You know, material the door will be up or
It's probably metal, but that's also worth why you would want to check it out downtown. Mary Rose?
Yeah, this is just a little off topic, but are you considering at all in the future doing this type of mapping as animated?
We can talk about that for a future iteration. This year, that is actually a great question. We're asking that it just be stills to kind of, again, even out the playing field. I think we had, especially because this year we're only selecting 15. I think the last time we got enough submissions within the adult category, it was like 30, 35, and we were able to show everything, including the submissions that were video files. But for this year, just stills, and we can definitely talk about it, because that's the point of this, right? Is that it steps into projection mapping, and what is projection mapping? Animation. So.
And I remember it being mentioned last time, and I
Yeah.
assume it's a lot more
It's-
involvement on everybody's part.
It is a lot more involvement on everybody's part, because to me, that almost becomes like yet another category, right?
Yeah.
It's like the video file category, and then what are their limitations? What's our like resolution spec? How long should these be? Because we don't want to say open in length, because someone could do a 7-minute
And
video.
as an artist, how do you do it?
Yeah, and how do you do
Make
it?
sure you do
Yep.
right.
Absolutely. Jesse has a comment, kind of addressing a comment about the grids in the chat. He says, feel free to cover the whole door or window area though. And he referenced the ape climbing the building. So this is like one of the spaces where you kind of ignore parts of the architecture, but it works best if you like acknowledge the architecture in certain
That's where
places.
a black or a dark color will help hide the lines.
Yes.
If you want to know.
Yeah.
They're there.
Any other questions? I'm happy to hang out, but I feel like we covered a lot in a condensed period. Thank you. Oh, you're clapping. Yeah. I'm going to stop the recording because everyone can still hear me.
Generate a thing until you close,
Oh, how do I stop the recording? I stopped sharing.
There should be a little.
Record on this computer. Oh, stop recording. I think you started it, so you have to stop it. Oh.
Do you see it?
Nope, you have to end the recording. I still have questions in here. Sean is asking, during the festival, are there software vendors in attendance. We don't have software vendors attending the festival itself. That's a good question though. USITT, the United States Theater Technical Institute, is going to be running a conference. And they are going to be bringing in different technical vendors to that conference. At our festival, we work with Watch Out for projection mapping. We have worked, I believe, with Resolume in the past. Jesse, you can correct me if I'm wrong with that. But no, we won't technically have vendors on the street in presence. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Okay, I'm gonna end this now because we're all wondering how to save the video, and this all will be a part of that video. So, oh, here's the best email for me, Anna@LUMA. Okay. Okay, thank you guys.